Okay, and let me open up the questions as well. So the whole conversation is going to be about your journey, right? The more, I don't know, details, the more things around like your state or how you felt and like your internal sort of journey, the more things you can take people through, the better it is. What we are looking for is transformation, right? Where you were, where you got, because what people are looking is always that, you know, zero to hero, like the journey, and that's what people care
Yeah,
about. So the more you can sort of like emphasize that, the better it is.
cool.
Okay, so let's start. Take me to take me back to when we first started, and maybe a little bit before. What was
Mm.
a typical day like before our work together? Energy, food, sleep, exercise, like how you felt.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I used to crowbar myself out of bed. It was like my alarm would go off. I would feel like absolute rubbish, and I would, I felt like I had no energy, and like trying to get out of bed was just the biggest task in the world. I eventually like crowbar myself out of bed, drag myself to the office or to my desk, and just start cranking again. It took a few hours to warm up, and then get going and just kind of do as much as I can in a day. And it was just a treadmill. I mean, that was the reality. It was just this grind.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just trying to figure out how I was going to get away from it. And I think there was a combination of things. Number one is, like most people, I'd had, business was challenged over COVID. I'm in hospitality, so probably hit our business, somewhat worse. I mean, there were probably people way worse off than us, but hospitality was absolutely destroyed over the COVID period, which took its toll on me and the business. To be fair, although the business ended up better off as an outcome long term. And that in combination with me turning 40, 41, 42 in the kind of the preceding years, where that zest of life just couldn't carry you through those tough times anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
actually like just the vitality you have when you're young starts to fade.
Yeah.
And I was just at a loss. I was like, oh crap, now what? At that point.
Yes, well, thank you so much for, sharing that.
Mm.
And obviously, you could have continued as you were.
Mm.
You probably wouldn't, die at that time. So, what made you shift? What made you say, all right, it's now time to change and invest into things like health and fitness and nutrition and sleep and all of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, so there was a number like I tried previously, and I had managed when I was 30 to get fit and healthy again. And between 30 and 40, let's say, growing a young business at the time, and it was the hustle, and like most people between 30 and 40, you work more hours than you have in the day in reality. And um, I'd tried periodically between the ages of after 30, when I got unfit again, to try and get back to getting fit, and I just never cracked it. I never managed to like find the what the best version of myself looked like. And there was always like these short sprints or these very small windows where I'd be like, yeah, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. And ultimately, I would run out of steam, and that initial energy would dissipate, and I'd be back to
Mm,
square one. So it was pretty frustrating. So when I got to, I think it was we met 18 months, 2 years ago. Um, I was probably 105 kilos. So not that weight is everything, but I was uncomfortable in my own body.
hmm
I didn't look or didn't like what I saw in the mirror. It wasn't representative of who I felt I was. But the reality was it was who I was at the point in time. So not looking after myself mentally, physically, um, felt tired all the time. Everything was just a lot of hard work. And I think one of the things that hit me the most is that I would have like I've been a duck underwater. Like most entrepreneurs, I could just take whatever stress is thrown at me. Didn't really matter. And I found that when I was 41, 42, 43, that actually I was getting very, very stressed about small things, and
Mm,
that was affecting my home life and how I showed up for my
yeah.
family. And I knew at that point that something needed to change, and
Mm,
uh, and I kind of felt like it was grounded in my physical health.
mm-hmm,
Hence kind of looking for how that could change. But what I knew different this time, given that I'd had many failures previously in getting fit, is that I needed to I needed to start with a much longer time frame. And as
mm,
most, ambitious entrepreneurs, I'm like, okay, well, we're going to do this in 3 weeks or 5 weeks. And I decided that that was where my failures were. And rather than looking at, becoming fit and healthy as a 6 month goal, I decided I was going to figure out how to live a fit and healthy lifestyle. And my goal was to be, the strongest 70-year-old I could be. So a long time window. And that I was committed to educating myself over years, if not decades, to become that person.
mm-hmm,
Um, so I think that kind of set me up on a different mindset from the outset. And I was really focused on the primitives of what a healthy person looks like in terms of their lifestyle and choices, etc. And rather than the impossible, I'm going to start waking up at 5 o'clock every morning and hitting the gym and become the best version of myself. That would just destroy anyone. The reality is, for us, if you remember, working together at the start was, we started with the real basic stuff, and that is, can I literally go to sleep and get 8 hours of sleep every night? Like
yeah.
it's as simple as that, and then layering on all of the other healthy habits over years to get to a position where like, yes, I can get up at 5 o'clock every morning and go to the gym and feel amazing about it, and get my 8 hours sleep and. But there's a whole host of things that we needed to solve in order to get to that point, and that was only possible with like a long multi-year mindset, I think. And I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm definitely 80% of the way there, but the other 20% will probably take another 20 years. Um,
Well, I don't know. Also, they say like as people and entrepreneurs specifically, we keep also moving our goalposts. So that also very often happened. Like what you think or what you thought was not possible or very unrealistic, all of a sudden becomes possible, and you're like, okay, that is the next thing.
yeah.
But you know what? You reminded me really well. Like I remember this Donald Trump's quote. He said, "There are no unrealistic goals, only unrealistic time frames." Uh,
Yes.
is that whether that's business, life, or fitness, anything we decide to pursue, actually, almost all of our goals are possible if we just choose the right time frame. And what I also loved about what you just mentioned is knowing that what is realistic for you and grounding your action plan in that versus trying to think about, I don't know, a perfect version of self that gets to handle all of the balls in life, business, family, and fitness, and to the like sort of hardest version of that. And very often, that is not really realistic, not reality. And just what I guess I'm getting is your self-awareness of, okay, I tried that. That didn't work. Maybe let's try something that has better chances.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, well, that was back then. And where are you now in terms of your energy levels, in terms of how you feel, what's shifted in your life, like personal life, business life? Like, what are the things that you can speak to that you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, so well, I mean, yeah, starting with the outcome. I mean, yeah, I've got loads of energy now. The biggest thing, which was, probably the driver for it all, is like I'm just able to handle stress again, like I was when I was 20 or 30. That I don't have these wild swings in my emotional capacity or my ability to handle very stressful situations, or even tiny, tiny bumps in the road. So that's great. Obviously, that has a compounding effect, right, in terms of better sleep, because now you don't get stressed. You don't have that high cortisol. It means you sleep better. If you sleep better, it means that you can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to gym. If you go to gym, it means that you're protecting your body against those cortisol spikes, and and then you can take more stress. And so I'd probably compounded all the bad over many years. The rug was taken out of from under my feet in terms of getting older, and that the zest of life you have when you're young. And now I've been repaying those debts and getting myself fit to the point that, I mean, today I'm operating at close to the best version I could possibly think of myself. I mean, we've done a lot of work recently, like, eking out the last minuscules of improvement, and really analyzing where I'm spending time, how much time I'm spending, going back and, measuring food and trying to understand, like, like, are those KPIs that we set up, 18 months ago, like, are we hitting them now? And just like, I think all of the skills that I've learned, I'm just applying without thinking now, which make the whole process of being and staying fit and healthy effectively autopilot. And I think that's the real unlock, because when previously I tried to get fit and healthy, it was always consciously trying to think about, what do I need to do to maintain this week after week. And like now, and I think I've said this to you previously, it like feels like I'm cheating, because it's like, no, I'm just eating whatever I want. I'm just, like, just living my life exactly how I want. But because of all the change that we've made and all those healthy habits we've compounded over the course of 2 years, I'm able to live a different version of my life whereby it feels like I'm cheating all the time, but it's just it's that easy that I'm making gains, but not even trying.
Yeah, it's like you said. Well, first of all, it's when you form the habits, it starts feeling like no work at all, right? But then also what you're, I think, speaking towards is this identity shift, meaning what used to feel like, I don't know, something boring or additional effort, like, eating certain things, not eating other things, exercising, sleeping, what felt like maybe not you, something that you had to do on top of being you, now feels like that's just who you are and what you do every day. It doesn't feel any different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of also like impact in the outside world, have you, I don't know, noticed or other people maybe noticed you showing up differently, or like any difference in terms of, like, I don't know, how you show up, like your energy, your maybe decisions,
absolutely.
productivity?
Yeah. I mean, across all of those, I think one of the interesting things is, I think people are very inquisitive when they see somebody who's, kind of radically changed their lifestyle. And, not that I was like big and fat, but I was clearly very unhealthy. Like, I think you could just see that in my eyes and bags under my eyes, and the way I showed up, my energy, etc. And for those people who know me and have seen that change, and even if they, hadn't seen me for a few months at a time, I think for them, it's always interesting because when you see those people again and they see how you're showing up and they're like, "Holy Moses, tell me more," right? That's basically what you get. It's like, what have you done? How have you done it, right? So that's been interesting and encouraging, because it just shows that the way you show up physically, mentally, emotionally, and from an energy perspective, I suppose covers all of those. When you arrive, that is kind of, that presence is felt. I think it's definitely recognized, and it attracts a lot of people in terms of like wanting to come and talk to you and be inquisitive about, well, what have you done and how have you done it? I think it's got really positive effects from that perspective.
I'm also, curious, and I'm not sure like what the answer is. A lot of people who go on this journey, in transformation, taking care of themselves. For a lot of people, the motivation is showing up for like family, showing up for your kids, showing up for your business and people who depend on it. Like, was it a part of the equation for you to maybe approach this transformation as well?
I'll be honest. Maybe it was somewhat selfish for me. I just despised the person that I was looking at, to the point that I just wanted to prove it to myself. That was my motivation.
Okay.
I think going back to the benefits that I sought absolutely came to fruition. So those were the ability to take on a lot more stress, or not get stressed at all, by big events or small events for that matter. And that was like my kind of core objective. But what I found in getting to that point was a whole bunch of other really beneficial things around living a really more substantial life, I think. Certainly from my own measures, that'll be different for everyone. But yes, it was for me more than anything, or anyone for that matter.
And you mentioned also like your body weight, that it might be important, to things like, I don't know, how you show up or your confidence. Like, did it change things for you when you were able to go take your body through this transformation? Did it change your, I don't know, confidence or energy, other things, the way you show up? Like, I often hear from people, and I'm one of those people as well, like when you feel like the best in your body, you sort of like start radiating that, and it is so much easier to take on stuff, and you don't take a lot of negative comments as personally. Like, I'll get through it. Like, was it part of the journey for you as well, or like how did that affect sort of like your life, how you approach things in life, what you take on, how you handle things?
I mean, maybe this is largely mental, but like I've certainly felt, having spent a lot of time doing physical things, so whether it's in the gym or like the classes and those F45 high roxes or anything like that, those kind of physical exercise like manifest. A lot of that manifestation for me feels like it's in my stature, and I don't think that's actually necessarily that true, but it feels like that when you walk into the room, you're standing, more upright, and I just think it's more inviting, and it's probably around More so than the physicality. It's probably more around your mental attitude towards your physicality and how you see yourself. So when you do show up, the self-reflection, the outer self looking in has more respect for you, and therefore you take yourself more seriously. And that outwardly comes from you believe people are taking you more seriously, which means that you have more self-belief because you have more respect from others. And that could be all totally incorrect, but it's actually just because that you've got fitter and stronger. So you're able to appear, more confident.
Yeah, I guess, also it's it changing your mental state. It changes your brain, literally, like the emotions you experience, that confidence, that dopamine, that gives you that sort of boost of like just energy and confidence and self assurance. And because of that, you act differently, you stand differently, and because of that, obviously, people read into that and also will treat you differently and read different kind of energy. And plus, of course, if you look strong, people usually tend to think like you are strong, you can take things on, you are capable, right? And all of that things that have
and it's all true, right? That's the great that's the reality. It's grounded in truth.
Yes, exactly. I guess the last couple of questions are, if other entrepreneur and business owner, watching this and they're thinking about maybe going on a similar journey, what would you say to them? And maybe what did you need to hear at that time, at the beginning, maybe to get you over this last edge or friction to actually start something like this?
Yeah, I think the thing that put me off the most, which I overcame by looking at it over a longer time frame, was where I was going wrong personally was like, this is going to be intense. I need to get fit in 6 to 8 weeks, which was, all encompassing. It took like so much of your energy. And as an entrepreneur, like I could never commit that amount of energy to any one thing because quite frankly, my business came first. And when you're growing and are trying to strive towards growing a massive business, that is just the cost. And I think what I decided on was that I could not continue neglecting my body because ultimately it would have a negative impact on me reaching my goal. So looking after my engine, what was required, and really the mental shift that took place, which is something which I wish I'd known about before, and I would have started my journey earlier, is that all it needed for me was to change my time horizon and say, okay, well, I can't commit 10 hours a week to this or 15, whatever, whether it's just your mental capacity or otherwise, and going on a journey where it's like, okay, I'm going to spend the next 10 years getting better. If that means I only achieve like one thing this quarter, if that means that I only, and however small it is, like if that's going for a walk once, like twice a week, that's like, that's an improvement, great. And I think, there have been times where I've been improving faster and times when I've improved slower. And I think one of those things is just recognizing that you've only got, one vat of energy, and you need to choose where to spend it. And for me, I've only had to spend a little bit, but I've been spending it every day consistently in terms of getting better and coming back and reframing it. And that's what like our sessions are about, is like reframing the importance, making sure that I keep spending the time and energy towards it. And going back to the why is critical. So it doesn't actually take a huge amount of energy and time and commitment. What it takes is consistency, and you spend what you have. So sometimes the business will take priority, but yeah, just keep improving. I think that's the one lesson I've learned.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Because as you mentioned, for entrepreneurs, a lot of times business takes priority, and it just, if you make your time horizon longer, then there is a lot you can still do, and then you can compound your progress and your results, and it just keeps growing, just like ROI on your, I don't know, investment, right? The longer you take, like this, even the smaller contribution matters a lot more and delivers great results and great returns. And the last but not least, I think, very important question that you already touched upon on, like for entrepreneurs, for business owners who are always worried about, like, time commitment and the energy that it's going to take away from business, from other things important in life, like family. Can you speak maybe towards this challenge? What did you learn from your experience? Like, again, the time, the energy, like how was it for you through this experience?
I mean, yeah, I mean, the reality is that that there's a net benefit to this ultimately, even in the shorter term. So, the fact that I've got more energy and actually I can come more focused and actually do more during the day, means that I spend less time working, and not being efficient. So yes, there's like getting used to the change and doing and kind of pitching up week on week takes some time and energy, but the returns happen pretty quickly, in terms of like your output can just get much better. So yeah, it wasn't laborious for me at all. Ultimately, I mean, in the process, I've just, I'm prioritizing where I'm spending my time better, but also kind of, realizing the benefits of that has in other places of my life. So maybe I'm not, spending time till 12 o'clock at night watching some rubbish on TV, going to bed at 10 so I can get up at, 5 and go to the gym. But those, that didn't happen overnight. It took a long time to get to that point where that became easy. And there's a lot of things that needed to change, whether it be work habits, drinking, etc. But yeah, ultimately, it's no commitment at all.
Yeah. What I'm hearing also, a couple of things. Most of us find the time to waste on other things, no matter what,
Yes.
no matter how efficient we say we want to be or we are, and maybe distributing that time to something that actually is an investment and gives you energy and gives you better capability and gives you better quality of life is, a lot better way to approach things and approach things like time management, versus thinking that if you don't exercise, you're just going to be working all the time. But anyhow, thank you so much, Robbie, for sharing your experience and your advice. Thank you so much. Is there anything that you'd like to add to your message?
No, thank you for sharing your experience and advice.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, well, till next time. Yeah.
Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.